What will you do to protect LGBT families in the district?
Who's this go to?
We lose track.
Liz Watson is first.
So this is a very important time to be taking this question because I do think that our LGBTQ families are at risk. It starts with, we do need to pass the Equality Act. So a lot of people probably know this as ENDA, but it's been changed. The Equality Act now amends all of our, so it used to be the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, but now we have an act that amends all of our civil rights titles to make sure that if you get married on a Sunday, and you go into work on a Monday, and you put a picture of you and your spouse on your desk, you don't get fired. That's wrong. I worked for the first openly gay commissioner of the EEOC, and the EEOC has taken the position that Title VII does protect the rights of LGBTQ people in employment, but the DOJ has taken the opposite under the Trump administration, and so we're going to have to fight to reassert those rights. We know that under the Mike Pence regime, we have the assertions of religious liberty being wielded as a sword to discriminate against people, and we have to fight back against that tooth and nail. I would do that. I would be looking to write friend of the court briefs when these cases go to the Supreme Court, and some of them are percolating up to the Supreme Court. When I worked in Congress, I took the opportunity to write amicus briefs as staff that the members signed and then sent to the court to say this is the position of Congress, that these rights are protected and this is exactly what we mean to do under Title VII and under Title IX. And it matters that Congress says this is what the law means. That is very convincing to the court. That's something that I would do.
The situation we're in right now, I think first and foremost what we have to do is keep the executive branch in check and to make sure that we protect the judiciary, because that is often where justice begins and ends. What a difference an administration makes, as Liz says. You've got the EEOC and the DOJ on board to protect LGBT rights under Obama, and Trump, we've got a 180 turn. The courts are there for us, and I think that there is, obviously we've got an act, we're way overdue for legislation that protects sexual orientation and gender identity in housing and in employment. The courts, there is technically protection there. If you know about the Hively versus Ivy Tech case that went all the way up and was all the way up to the Seventh Circuit, they've said, and I don't want to get too much of the lawyer brain here, but they've said that there is protection for sexual orientation, right? There's been gender identity protection in a lot of courts for a long time, but these are very seldom used protections. And they're very important protections for families, but they're very seldom used in the courts. And a lot of that is because we get more and more and more conservative and unqualified judges on the judiciary that will stop these cases dead in their tracks. And so, families and workers and LGBT individuals have no place to go to vindicate their civil and human rights. So it's critically important that we protect, that we keep the executive branch in check to make sure they don't run rampant all over our rights, and Congress is doing a very poor job of that right now. And even more important that we protect the judiciary and the integrity of the judiciary to make sure that we've got qualified judges sitting on there that are going to administer justice in the right way for lesbians and gay men and trans people everywhere. Thank you.
Dan pretty much substantiated my argument. I think we got two qualified lawyers. I think they ought to stay right here and protect us. That's kind of my biggest beef, is that their services would be far greater value than in Congress. I really believe that, and they may not agree with that, but I do. As far as what I will do, obviously an advocate. My experience has been with a lot of the blue-collar, Republican, conservative. I pretty much everywhere I've gone, not always in my lifetime, but well accepted. And people tend to start to tribalize, and the best way I can kind of communicate is like, I'm gay, but I'm one of the good ones, so to speak, with the people that I've worked with. But I think just me being present in Congress and people knowing from my background, my pedigree, that I'm gay, I really have the ability to just cross so many different, transcend so many different backgrounds, so kind of a hybrid. And I think that's what we need right now. Legislation it'll come and go. Obviously, I'll be working hard. You can bet that HRC is going to be all over, knocking on my door and everything like that. So, and I know what we need and what we don't need. I will say this: I am afraid. I genuinely am afraid. My partner and I went on a cruise last year, and we put off our marriage. We were gonna get married, and I don't want public record. And I know that sounds a little extreme, but 1933 Germany, we really had a lot of problems. And I think one of the best ways to solve those problems is actually get gay people into the system, right?